I moved off-grid 3.5 years ago. Before that, I owned a general contracting business. It was a small business, and I ended up specializing in renovation. Before that, I worked for a custom home builder right out of high school, and when I first got into contracting, I subbed for other contractors until I got my own customer base. Worked out of a K5 Blazer, had a 96 Mustang, and it became apparent I needed a truck to work out of, so I sold the car and bought one. I started out my business doing rot repair and leak prevention, did a lot of small exterior jobs, but I soon got tired of working around the weather and decided to go more interior. Worked on a lot of homes over 100 years old. There was always some kind of issue going on or upgrades that people wanted to do. Refinished some cabinets, installed new cabinets, eventually narrowed down the scope of my business to doing kitchens, bathrooms, and basement finishing. As my business grew, I started hiring more subcontractors to do things. I had an amazing group of subs I worked with, but I still did most of it. I found myself doing a lot of electrical work in the process, as well as some oddities like closing in rounded doorways and turning them into walls. Basement renovations were one of my favorite jobs, and at the time I lived in a fixer-upper myself. Ended up restoring this 100-year-old house in a tenth of an acre at the same time I lived there. Developed a fascination for two-wheeled vehicles, particularly once Minion developed a fascination for him too. Minion and I would ride around on a lot of weekends looking at jobs, and that's how I got to play on the motorcycles while continuing to work. Part-time I ran a computer business, setting up networking for folks and diagnosing issues. Didn't really make a lot of money at it, it was mostly just to fund my gaming habit. I even went to New York City to watch professional games. I didn't always have a beard, I tried to maintain a professional look. They always say don't judge a book by its cover, but the reality is people will judge you from the moment they first set eyes on you. If I wanted to land high-end jobs, a clean-cut look was mandatory. I got into all sorts of unique jobs and really enjoyed them. One of my hobbies was fixing my vehicles, although I wasn't good at it and hated doing it, I just had to. Another one was repairing pocket watches, which someday I'd really like to get back into again. I moved to the country a few years before I decided to start homesteading for practice. Got an old camper for cheap, ended up gutting and repairing the rear corner. While I was at it, I thought the layout was dumb, so a bunch of the furniture had to go. I wish it still looked this nice, but at one point it looked gorgeous inside. I experimented with solar rainwater collection, and then moved to an empty field in West Virginia. The building I'm turning into living quarters was initially a storage building for all my stuff. Put up the first outhouse, got to experience a brown recluse bite. All things considered, I have no regrets on choosing this lifestyle.